Multimedia personality, comedic commentator, songwriter, recording artist, spiritual leader, and actor. Catch Larry Reid on the BET Plus original series, Kingdom Business, and on American Gangsta Trap Queens. Streaming online at BET.plus.
Yeah. God says when you go to the bank this time, approval, the Spirit of the living God. My God. God says that he's singling you out because God says there's an anointing on your life. And God says, you tell Omen Joseph that I'm calling him for ministry. It's Jonathan's time for a miracle.
Who's Jonathan? My name's Jonathan. Jeez, my God.
Stay connected to Prophet Manasseh Jordan. Text the words text MJ to 33339. That's TEXT MJ to 33339. Join with people from around the world praying 15 minutes every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by calling 667-770-1402, code 974-8029#. Stay connected to Larry Reid Live. Take a moment and like the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the bell. Text Larry Reid Live to 33222. That's the words Larry Reid Live, no spaces, to 33222. And get notified when we go live. Become a member of Patreon. Log on to patreon.com/Larry Reid Live. Sign up, then download the Patreon app and turn on your notifications. Get connected today.
We're about to have a conversation. All right, welcome to Larry Live. My name is Larry D. Reid, and I'm the host of this show, Larry Live. And this is your absolute most favorite entertainment, digital news, and talk show. Remember, if it's on the internet or been talked about on TV or anywhere where the public can read, then it could become a conversation, of topic here on this platform. There is no need for you guys to be sending me people's personal, private information and happenings, because it's the wrong platform for that, because I only discuss what is public. And those things that tend to affect our public or our collective consciousness and way of being, I like to discuss those things. Of course, those things that happen in the church, they interest me a lot and what we see online. So you can always have that kind of conversation going on here. And I'm just popping on for a little while to just have a conversation at the kitchen table with Eli Ellis about what is happening here in America as it relates to the dollar. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the information that's been coming out of Bloomberg or the information that's been coming out of Yahoo Finance and these other money articles and outlets, but I've been paying attention to it a little bit. And as a result of me paying attention to it, I just think that there needs to be more conversation on the internet talking about it. And I want us to talk about it here in this community. And so what I need for you to do right now, if you are watching me or you're watching the playback, I need for you to hit like on this video if you're on YouTube or if you are on Facebook watching this. And I also need for you to take a moment and share, because this is going to be more conversation around something that we all need to be talking about and thinking about. Once more and again, I feel as though the Black community, especially the Black religious community, isn't in on this conversation. And as a result, we're going to be behind when it comes to certain things. And I know that's not how it's supposed to be. I feel like that when it comes to Black people, and this Black spiritual community, that we are supposed to really be in the forefront when it comes to charting the future and telling people what is happening and putting in certain types of methods and systems that if people acquiesce to those systems and methodologies, that they will be set for the future that is coming. And I don't see that across the board. However, there are certain groups. I can speak for the MBN network and what happens in Patreon. I can also speak for my mentors ministry, Prophet Jordan, Zoe Ministries. I can also speak for Prophet Manasseh and his ministry. And there are a few others, but those I do know, the conversations that we have and the exchanges that we have, we make sure that those that we serve are up to date when it comes to the culture and to the community. And then we also sort of lead our communities from the future. Ain't no sort of to it. We lead our communities from the future, making sure they plugged into what is to come. Now, if you have been an LRLer since our inception officially in 2016, and maybe follow me online since as early as 2007, you have heard me over and over and over and over again mention about so many different changes that will happen in our world. One of those main ones was the importance of being in the digital space as a spiritual community or as a church. And I began to say this in 2015, very strongly in 2016 online. I began to talk about the importance of building an online community that is an extension of your church, that is an extension of your spiritual community. And I gave a date, a year, 2020. And we know now what that was all about. But what I feel is a lot of us in the spiritual community, in the religious community, particularly the church, and even some of you that are entrepreneurs and business owners, and maybe you are doing really well in a certain industry and working for a certain organization or system or something. I feel like that we are trying to settle ourselves back into where we were prior to 2020. And that is not what 2020 was all about. 2020 itself was all about us getting an eye or a vision, 2020 vision, getting an eye or a vision for the future. And I believe that C19, the Korah, aka the Korah, I believe that it was allowed divinely, listen to my language here, allowed divinely to push us all into the posture that's a better fit for the future that is coming. And I think some of us, we're having a problem with the future and we're having to succumb to certain things kicking and screaming. And I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. I understand what it is to be a fixed sign. That's what I am. Or a stubborn person, or a person that is stuck in their ways, or a person that just don't do well with changing according to somebody else's vision. I don't do well with that. I have to do work to make sure that I remain flexible, that I remain like water. Some of you it's not so hard for, but I do understand when it's difficult and hard. So let me say this to you. You need to go ahead and do whatever personal work you need to do in order to get ready for what is to come, because nothing is going to be the same anymore. And it's happening, been happening, and it will continue to happen. So this show today is about having a conversation about the future, particularly around money, the dollar here in the US, and how that may affect your business and how it may affect your banking and how you handle your money. So I want you to hit like, and I want you to bring as many people as possible on into the conversation so that we can all talk as a community. So hit like over there on Facebook. You know, y'all don't always do the way you need to do on Facebook. I love you, but you don't be doing right. So hit like over there on Facebook. And if you're here on YouTube, make sure you're hitting like as well. So for those of you that do not know, there's something that is happening in our world in 2023 that is literally going to close an era as relates to how we have been relating to and moving with our money. It was said prophetically in 2022 that 2023 was the year of the close. And the reason why we were very clear about that, number one, because the Lord was speaking it, but then we were looking at the data, the numbers, and the information surrounding 2023. And how do we do that? By looking at numbers, by looking at symbols, by looking at some historical things and finding patterns. And we begin to see things line up. We also begin to look up at the sky because they are the handwriting of the Lord and the glory of the Lord. So we begin to look at the planets. We begin to look at the sun, the moon, and see what is all of these things telling us. Well, this is the way Christians do. True followers of Jesus Christ. That's what I call you. Those who really practice the Christian faith. And you're really into all of what has been made available to us as Christians, even over 1,000 years before the King James Version of the Bible was even created. Those of us that practice our Christianity that way, we understand the importance of paying attention to all of the data and all of the research, and also all of what is happening in the heavens above us, because all of these things have a way of giving us information. And we do that and read all those things with the word of the Lord in our ear. What you mean? That we're listening to the Spirit. We have prayer lives and meditation lives. We're going fast and stuff. We're spiritual folk and worship and stuff. You know, so in the midst of looking at that data and reading that research and reading these articles, our ears are open to what God is saying. And so when I heard about the death of the owner of Cash App, you know, it was one of those things that sort of hit me in my head, and I moved it back there. I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna figure all of that out later. I didn't have any conspiracy theory that stuck with me. What do you mean? Such as, oh, they killed him because they want Cash App. They want to take control of Cash App, whoever they is. Oh, they are about to destroy Cash App is about to come crashing down. That wasn't the thing that was in my head. I mean, because when I began to read around some things day before yesterday, I saw that Bob Lee really wasn't that involved in what he had created for several years. So not saying that 86s or cuts out any foul play. I'm just saying, for me, looking at the data and paying attention. I said, okay, so he's been disconnected from this for a while. And so then I began to say, all right, I don't know if this was done or that was done, but what I do feel in my heart is that Bob Lee's death had some kind of signal in it. It was an alarm. It was a cue. It was something that needed to be decoded. And so what I did in my Wednesday night with my partners, we have some prophets or some prophetic people. And so I had them on stage and I said, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to ask Father God in Jesus' name. Colossians 3:17, come on up in the air. We're going to ask God to, what is the word of the Lord surrounding Bob Lee's death? Can y'all type that in the chat? What is the word of the Lord surrounding Bob Lee's death? And for those of you that are not Christians and you're not familiar with prophets and the prophetic way and prophetic order, let me give an example, an equivalent using other language. You go to a psychic and you say, okay, read my palm. You go to a psychic and you say, all right, I don't know if I should be with this particular person. What do you think? Or what is the spirit saying to you? You go to a medium. Okay, my grandfather died. I want to hear from my grandpa. So when it comes to the prophets, and this has been something that is in our Christian faith for years, whenever somebody lose something or they didn't know what to do, what they would do on Sabbath or full moon, they will go and inquire of the prophet. And they all knew that if you're going to inquire of the prophet, you need to take something for the prophet as an offering or as a means of exchange or thanks or courtesy when you're going to inquire of the prophet. Y'all, this is something you can Google. It's in your biblications. And I don't know why in the whole hell in the heaven, church people, Christian folks still have a problem with going and inquiring of a prophet with a gift or an offering or a seed in your hand. I don't get it. I mean, if you don't like it, tear out the Bible, but it's very biblical and it's what we did. And it's what we still do. So while I had all the prophets there, I said, okay, what is the word of the Lord concerning Bob Lee's death? Now, let me give you the occasion of that prophetic moment. Outside of me, possibly some others, we really hadn't had our nose in all of the things surrounding Cash App. We didn't know about some of the things we're going to be discussing today. We were just opening our eyes and our ears to hear from by way of the Holy Spirit, by way of our gifts of sight and hearing and sensing and seeing, what was the spiritual significance or prophetic significance of Bob Lee's death. And there was a few things that came out of that. I want you to watch and see what came out of that. We don't have it. Hold on a minute. Let me get it. Wait a minute, I'm just setting it all up so pretty. It ain't even a bit more got it in this thing. Let me look and see if I can. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Wait a minute, I ain't got it in here and all, do it. Let me see. Give me a minute, I'm coming. Oh, there's this. Okay, hold on. I think I'm gonna be able to do it right quick. How long is this? Okay, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up, Nancy. I'm gonna play it for y'all. Somebody said play the audio. That would be quicker, wouldn't it? Oh, well, it's look like it's gonna load real quick, and it ain't but 3-minute clip. Let me look. Where's? Look like it's gonna load quick. Since if it's gonna load quick, we're gonna listen to it. We're gonna watch it rather. Hold on, come. All right. I look like oh shoot. Hold on. Coming. I wish I had some music or something to play y'all while I'm doing this. But I don't. This the asset folder. This is. You see anything that's uploaded now? Where? There. Okay, I think I got it, y'all. Hold on. So how do I get that in there, Nancy? Okay, hold on. I think I got it. All right, y'all ready? That's it. Oh, I'm happy for you. I think I got it. I'm gonna play it. Yeah. Is that it? Right there. That one there. That one there. Why ain't it showing up? It's one of them. I know what to do. Oh, there you go. That's it. Okay. All right. Y'all ready? I'm sorry that I'm sorry it took a little piece. I'm sorry it took a little piece. I thought I had already uploaded this, but I hadn't uploaded. All right, everybody hit like. Let's go ahead on. And we're gonna look. So this is what happened. So I began to wonder in that moment. I'm gonna wonder, okay, what is the prophetic significance, the spiritual significance? What sign or what is the meaning of the death of Bob Lee? And this is something that I want you guys to remember. When things happen in your life, you should make an inquiry. What am I supposed to learn from this? What is this saying to me? And is this a sign of something that I need to do or cease from doing? And I tend to ask those type of probing questions. So since I had the prophets on and I was told about the death of Bob Lee, the Cash App, it's just something in me that said his death symbolizes something. And so we wanted to hear from the spirit, what is the significance of the death of Bob Lee? Let me show you this moment. Here's what happened in our community. All right, let's put our mind on Bob Lee and let's prophesy the word of the Lord about the death of Bob Lee. I can start it off. God, we thank you for your sight, and we thank you for giving us eyes and insight and decoding and explaining and giving us the ability to see and to know what you know and get your sight on all things. Now in Jesus' name, we prophesy and receive the word of the Lord concerning the death of Bob Lee. The Spirit says Bob Lee's death is going to unravel a series of events that will happen in the financial world. God says that his death symbolizes the beginning of the decentralization of money and also the digitized currency. I hear digitized dollar. That's the word of the Lord. Anybody next?
I heard immediately when you began to pray the death of cash. Cash. And I don't think it was by coincidence that he was killed, because I think in a way they're trying to kill cash to bring something else in its place.
I was just reminded of things closing in this year. And so when you begin to pray, I heard closing. It's closing.
And immediately when you started praying, I heard the word ending, but a new idea as relates to money.
Also, sense where it's like things are going to be given back to people. People are going to have more control.
Wow. Felicia.
I just heard that there is a shift that is coming as it relates to the dollar, to the money.
Okay, so that's what happened as we were there together, and that happened the evening of the day when it was announced that Bob Lee was dead. And so we done the rest of the broadcast, and we were all together in that one space, and we went to sleep. And I woke up the next day, and people were sending me all of this information about FedNow. Well, I did not know, and I'm not ashamed to say, I did not know anything about FedNow. And I don't think any of the other prophets knew anything else about it. But there was a lot of conversation from my research that began about 3 or 4 weeks ago online. Every article I found was about 4 weeks old. And then the morning after the death of Bob Lee, after this moment where we were all together, there was an article that was released talking about FedNow and some arguments surrounding FedNow, and someone sent it to me. So I began to read about that. And while that was going on, I ran into so much other information. And I said, okay, why isn't this on our main networks that give us information? And so I was sent this article that was a part of the news overseas. And I remember the mother of my children telling me when she would be stationed overseas, she says the news overseas and the news here in America is two different things. She said the news overseas, they just tell you what's happening and what's going on. It's not a lot of fluff. They'll just say what they say and go on to the next. However, the news here in America is almost like reality TV, and you can tell there's a lot of thought going into the presentation of it to keep our eyes watching. And when it comes to what is actually happening, it depends on what platform you watch to find out the facts, because every platform choose which facts to share. And a lot of it comes with a lot of biases and these overtones or decorations to it. So I want to talk to you guys about what is happening with our money. And this is going to be a surface conversation and should send you into some study and some research. Number one, I want you to type in the chat, the decline of the dollar is happening now. Now, we know it began some time ago. Well, I'm not even going to say that because it wasn't that evident that that's what was happening. But the dollar in the 70s stopped really being backed by gold. And then it went to the Federal Reserve and some changes were made. So you could track it to back then. But I want you to type in the chat that the decline of the dollar is happening right now. And we need to understand what that means, at least have some surface understanding of what the decline of the dollar means. Now, while the dollar is declining, we're seeing the rise of the digital dollar. And this is what the FedNow really is going to become. Now, this is going to be launched in July. I want you to put in the chat, FedNow will be launched in July. And I really want us to think about this and how that is going to affect what we do. It could be essentially the end of Zelle, the end of Cash Out, the end of Venmo, the end of all of these different ways that we transact, PayPal. When these things once were the future, it appears now that they're going to become a thing of the past. See, everything has its day when it's popping and when it is, the new fresh thing. And then another thing comes along, or that particular thing evolves and changes how it operates and looks. Nothing remains the same. That's really the only thing that is the same is change. And so the FedNow, got the decline of the dollar happening. Now we're seeing the rise of the digital dollar. These apps were like the prophetic signals to this that we see that's about to happen. Cash App and all these ways to digitally move your money have been around for a while, and they became very heightened and important when C19 came in. Everything went to almost no cash. And then we saw the coin shortage. And now nobody wants to deal with the coins, and they only want to deal with the paper dollar. And now the dollar is being digitized through FedNow. Now, what is FedNow? FedNow is going to be launching in July of 2023, which just happens to be when I pull all of my prophetic community together. And we're going to be pulling together here in Miami. I'm in Miami right now. And FedNow, I think, this is what I'm thinking, is going to either replace Cash App and all those different things, or either they are going to be the monitor or the middleman between our bank and these other ways to move our money. Now, when I begin to read up on the FedNow, this intelligence is programmable, and it's literally going to change. You know how many people are paid through Zelle, Cash App, businesses and people, and then they elect or not elect to report it to the government. They elect or not elect to pay taxes on it. This is going to totally change our world, especially the entrepreneur and the person who's in that gig space where they do a particular thing and get paid directly from the consumer. This will also change Uber, Lyft, if you're driving for these companies, because FedNow is a tool of our federal government. I fully believe that it is going to replace and be in the business of everybody. That's what I believe. And if that's the case, and it's going to be the case, FedNow is also going to be step one in moving us away from cash altogether. Now, the question is, are you ready for a cashless society? Type that in the chat. Are you ready for a cashless society? And I know that a lot of conspiracy theorists are going to go crazy into my control, the government trying to control. Let me tell you this. The government has been in control for a long time. They've been controlling you and everything you do, even what you think and believe and how you behave for a very long time. This is just management. That is all. It's just management. And of course, it's going to be said that this management needs to be put into place for this, that, and the other. But you just need to know that this is a country managing its economic structure and policy and power. And we're going to have to dance with it. Now, you can still thrive in a cashless society and in a world where the government literally is managing your money and your dollar. So the decline of the dollar is happening. At the same time, the rise of the digital dollar. It's going to take the dollar. If you want to believe that the dollar just going to totally disappear and it's going to be something, that's not going to happen overnight, because the dollar was the currency that was being used up until now when it comes to trading. About 60% of the trading that happens in our world. But because the dollar is declining, now that's not going to be anymore. But the upside is, if the dollar is declining, then those things that our country make for other countries, that's going to increase our output. Am I thinking correctly? I'm thinking this through as I'm talking to you. Because if the dollar declines, that means I can get more from you for less dollars in that exchange of my money. So what America needs to do to remain the economic trading power is to begin to do some things here on the homeland that we normally were buying from other countries rather, because the dollar's not going to have that much buying power. And with that being said, we're going to see prices go up even the more. I'm thinking all this out and talking about this. We're at the kitchen table talking, y'all. And that this is going to be very interesting. So what is going to happen to, and that gets into the dedollarization talk. Type that, dedollarization. Because you look at de-dollarization, okay, from a global standpoint, and this is where we got to begin to have a conversation about BRICS, BRICS, yeah. And the BRICS conversation, can you tell us what the acronym means, Nancy? Read off what it means. Hold on for a minute, I'm on mute. I already know what I mean. I thought you already knew what I mean. Oh, I know what I mean. I thought you just had it over there. It's right on the flyer.
Yeah, it's right here. BRICS. It means Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Okay, that's what BRICS is. So it's an acronym for those countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, this gets into the de-dollarization conversation, because if the dollar, these countries are now having a conversation about creating another means of currency because the dollar is declining. And see, I said this to you earlier, that there are a few things happening at the same time. The dollar's declining, and there's a rise of the digital dollar, and then there's de-dollarization. Y'all know I can't talk. How you say it, Nancy?
De-dollarization.
You don't look like you're doing good with that.
De-dollarization.
Yeah, de-dollarization. Yeah. Okay. So what's happening now? So many things happen at the same time, because now what's happening amongst BRICS is they're saying, you know what, the dollar is declining, and Russia's like, I'm so glad the dollar declined, and they put all these sanctions on us because of this Ukrainian and Russia war. They sanctioned us, and they're not buying product, and we're not able to sell product the way that we was because we doing this war with Ukraine. Yes, let's de-dollarization. How you say it? De-dollarization?
De-dollarization.
Yeah. Let's be a part of this, and let's create. I think now don't get me wrong. I think it's the main country, Russia and China. Oh, Lord, that's not good. But anyway, Russia and China is creating another means of exchange. Now, what's the China money is the yen, right?
I can find out.
Check and find what it is. Because I think that China and Russia, for the first time in 2023 in many years, had more trading amongst them than with the U.S. for the first time. It's the yen. The yen.
Y-U-A-N, I guess it's pronounced
Yan. One of them. What's China money? How you said? Right? How you supposed to spell the one? You said how you yuan? Yuan? That's how you said. Yuan. Who's yen? That's Japan. Who's yuan? Oh, you said the yuan. Y'all don't know how to say it neither. Like y'all don't know how to say it neither, but into it. And then Russia, they created this thing. Now, the Russia money is what? Is the rubies or ruble? Let's see. What's the name of Russian money?
Russia is...
Nancy, you slow as hell.
Russia is ruble.
Ruble. Okay. Now, but they're coming up with a currency between China and Russia called UBs. See if you can Google that right quick. But something funny like that. They're coming up with their own currency. So while the dollar is declining, and here in the US, we're digitizing the dollar, de-dollarization is happening globally in the sense of trade is concerned. And Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are all on board with putting the dollar to the side. Now this is serious. And with this being in mind, that this is happening, I think we have to move a little differently now as American citizens. We're going to have to be thinking for ourselves, and according to what part of the country you live in, what industry you are in, and what is happening at the local level depends on what you should be doing to secure the future of your money and the wealth of your family. The ruby. So that's what they're coming up now with.
I couldn't find it. I'm still looking.
Now, what I found interesting is some LRLers that were telling me that some of the countries that they are in, the dollar is no longer accepted at all. And when I was in Aruba, they didn't want to accept the dollar at certain spaces, and they certainly won't have the American Express. And so then what we had to do was use other means in order to transact and exchange there on the island in Aruba. In Cuba, I think it was. Cuba, a place, right?
Cuba?
Cuba is Cuba. What I say, Cuba?
Cuba.
I tell you, I don't be saying stuff right. They don't accept the dollar no more. So this is fairly interesting. Okay, hold on. Somebody's saying, Leslie Grant is saying, Larry, please bottom line this. What is going to happen to our paper right now? It's going to lose value. This is what I would suggest. A few things. There's a few different things I would suggest. Remember, a while ago, it was suggested, I think my mentor said, have a little piece of money outside the bank, so when the banks fail, you could still get whatever you need to get when they freeze up the money, as it has been happening for many different people, depending on what banking system you are with. You'll still be able to get some things. That's the banking issue. The second thing that I was saying is that you need to get, if the dollar's losing value, you need to go ahead on now. Now, this is my thinking. I'm not a financial expert or any of those things, although I did reach out to one that I know, a man that is terribly smart and actually works in all of this stuff, but he'll talk on the side. And we're going to bring that information to the patrons in Patreon. And we'll be doing that by the end of the month on what you should be doing in the stock market, what you should be doing with your dollar. We're going to have that whole conversation in Patreon. So you need to go ahead and sign up for Patreon, because you know if I do it out here, it's going to get banned. You ain't going to halfway see it get reported. But I can do it in my Patreon. I can tell y'all exactly what I need to tell y'all in my Patreon. But this is what I would suggest. Now, he may come on and say different, so you need to come on in Patreon. I will still keep me a little piece of change to the side. But at this time, I probably will put everything I possibly can in digital form. Now, that means putting it in the bank. I would say put it quite a bit in the credit union as well. That also means if you want to turn your money into something that doesn't lose value, gold, or gold is actually declining now, but it's not declining as quickly. An asset, a piece of land, which that's going down too. I would say throw it over there in an insurance policy, but ain't nothing not gonna be shook up. I mean, that's just what the truth is. Ain't nothing gonna not be shook. Oh, y'all upset because of me chewing my gum. I'm so sorry. I try to chew it a little bit quieter. But ain't nothing not gonna be shook. But if the dollar's going to decline, that means your paper money on hand is not going to have as much money. And you know, the government facilities are not accepting paper money. So what's that telling you? They don't print it too darn much, and there's not about to be letting you into these spaces and buying stuff on government property with money that don't even have no value no more. It's just paper. So I will go ahead right now and digitize my money, and so when they do a switch, which they could do it any time, you already done converted your dollars into digital dollars, and they're worth what they're worth. But anybody else who got paper, that ain't gonna be worth nothing. Derek Gant is giving his suggestions. He says XRP. And what's that? That's gold. That's a stock that mirrors gold, isn't it? Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin. No, XRP is it's cryptocurrency. So all of this is naming. All thing he's naming is cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's crypto.
Say it again.
It's crypto.
Yeah, it's crypto. So it's a digital wallet for me. Gold. Okay, Desiree. Those dots in the sand: gold, silver, land, sugar, oil, digitization. Yeah, that's commodities. Yeah. Commodity stocks will be good to invest in because that trade, what backs the money that BRICS, the currency that BRICS is creating, is going to be gold and commodities and precious materials, like even the elements. So that would be very great to put your money in. You know, the crypto thing. Okay, let's think about the crypto thing for a little bit. Cryptocurrency is basically a digital means of exchange that has some worth according to what we say is worth. With the FedNow, that's the digital dollar. Do you think the government, and I'm asking y'all too, I'm not just asking Nancy. I don't, oh, that's a good one. Metaverse certificates. That's great. I just feel like the government gonna get in on that and overturn that. Well, they can do it through the Fed now.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a government
digital currency.
Digital currency, yeah.
It's the digitization of the digitalization of the dollar. Mm-hmm. But then they can create some other value system that is digital, which is what crypto is.
Right.
I don't know about that. But I'm gonna ask our expert. He's gonna be coming over to Patreon. Let me see. It is. That's the Patreon conversation we're having out here, but I want to have it with everybody. I used 10 cents and got over 500 using XRP. I don't think Robinhood won't allow you to do that right now. I think you have to do it through Uphold. Right, this is what I was saying, Desiree. They're moving towards it now, have been trying to find ways to get a handle on how to make their money in the blockchain world. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't buy it.
Say it again.
So if you look at it on Robinhood, is blacked out.
Yeah, on Robinhood is blacked out.
It says XRP can't be traded on Robinhood. Only real-time market data is available.
Well, we talking about you hate it for the dope boys. Walking all the cash they got on hand. We know some of them working with the government empty darn way. They probably got their stuff digitized somewhere. Oh, you bought the Chinese currency? I think that's sort of smart, Derek Grant. Okay. All right, I'm complete. I just want to talk about the paper dollars versus the digital dollars and what is happening in our world with that, so that you guys could at least have that conversation with your family and with your friends, so we're not behind the curve on what is happening. And of course, I'm going to bring the prophets on. I'm going to have Prophet Manasseh Jordan on April the 20th. Last time Prophet Manasseh Jordan was here, he said he saw 2 banking systems folding. And it was like 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, those 2 banks that failed that the government pulled out. He even mentioned about them being assisted to keep them from totally folding. So you do not want to miss whenever I have the prophets here. And I know some of you may be plugged into their personal ministries, and you plug into my personal ministry, and that's great. But anytime you see us come together like that, what is discussed and said there, a lot of times not even discussed by us separately, or maybe separately in part. But then when we come together, it's something about the coming together that causes the conversation to become so prophetic and go so far into the future. All right, so y'all remember that on April the 20th, go ahead and set your calendar so you don't miss that, because we're going to be right here loud, what Maddie say? Loud, live, and in color. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Did you ever find that? What's the name? You ain't find it. What's the name? Oh, shoot. I didn't say it bad. I'm still sitting here.
Multimedia personality, comedic commentator, songwriter, recording artist, spiritual leader, and actor. Catch Larry Reid on the BET Plus original series, Kingdom Business, and on American Gangster Trap Queens. Streaming online at BET.plus.
Yeah. God says when you go to the bank this time, approval, the Spirit of the living God. My God. God says that he's singling you out because God says there's an anointing on your life. And God says, you tell Omen Joseph that I'm calling him for ministry. It's Jonathan's time for a miracle.
Who's Jonathan? My name's Jonathan. She is my God.
Stay connected to Prophet Manasseh Jordan. Text the words text MJ to 33339. That's TEXT MJ to 33339.